So another One Piece Real Talk video is here, and this time I'm going to be talking about how I can personally see the series ending. These things are just personal beliefs and ideas. I will also be focusing on a set list of characters, the characters I personally fell in love with, and obviously the Straw Hats. Another thing, I will be making a part 2 of the Luffy and Nami video as soon as possible, but I just want to make a good video, so I just need a... I don't want to just randomly haphazardly make the video. I just want to make sure it's a quality video. This is going to talk about the ending of the series after the obvious war of the pirates against the world government. The events would take place a year or two time skip from the war and be the last chapter finishing off the series. The Straw Hats would retire to an island similar to, or even the actual, island from the non-canon game World Seeker. Afterwards, the pirates would make a new life of relaxing and sailing whenever they want. They would have some previous friends live there with them as well. Luffy would take this island as his own and name it something like the King's Island or the Land of Meat. So let's talk about the characters years after the final fight, because that's what we're here for. Let's start with Sabo. Sabo would live on the island for a while and marry Koala. The two would have a child, wanting to name it Ace. Wait until the end of the video to find out why Sabo does not. But would name it something else. Sabo and Koala would teach the child how to use fishman karate and lead the revolutionists if the time would return. Sabo would leave now and then for a month or two at a time, finishing off the work of the revolutionists that is now fading away, while Koala would stay behind and manage a fruit store. Why? Because... Speaking of Koala, Koala would become the mother of Sabo's child after they get married, like I just said. Meanwhile, as Sabo is gone, she would indeed manage the fruit store, but at times help Robin with her digs and researching. I'm not quite sure what else she would do, but since she has a liking for Robin, she would stay close to one another. Brook would take up a musician's life, maybe even open up an instrument store, helping out others learn the music from his journeys. He would still be the same Brook, asking women for a peek at their panties, but just a more hurt Brook after the war. Frankie would continue making ships, and since the battle would break the Thousand Sunny at parts and make it hard to sail, Frankie would stay on the island. At first, just to fix the ship, then as a deckhand. Since the ship was Frankie's pride and joy, Luffy would want the ship fixed for some more adventures in the future. Frankie would have more ideas for more ships, and build them for the right price and if the captains have good intentions. Chopper would open up a doctor's office in the larger inhabited parts of the island, but still make visits through the lands to help whoever needs it. He would even start making cures for things thought not to be able to be cured. He would have also helped the Minks by producing the Buster Ball to make it so that they would be able to activate the Sulong forms whenever they want without the full moon. This would only be used to protect their lands from the outside forces. Robin would continue her studies of archaeology, and the island would hold a great amount of insight for her to follow up on. Remaining the only person that can read the ponographs, Robin would continue to teach Pudding, who would have moved to the island to be with Sanji. Also, I want to be stated, I do want Robin to get with Frankie, but they would really only be engaged because pretty much everyone else in this video gets married and has kids with someone else, and it seems repetitive. After the large war, Sanji would have lost at least a leg, because I think that the final fight would do some sort of physical damage to the Straw Hats, and Sanji might end up losing at least one leg, or his eyebrows. Sanji would then open up his own restaurant in a peaceful and scenic landscape of the island where people would have good taste and go and eat his food. The restaurant would be attached to a bakery where Pudding would sell her sweets and breads. They are technically married, as since he forgot the kiss, Pudding didn't, and they did go through the whole ceremony up until that kiss. Pudding would hold up the bakery of sweets and become a mother of 2 children, naming them Waffles and Pancakes. Probably. I mean, this is Pudding. She is named Pudding, so that is in the realm of possibility. Pudding would continue her studies of the poneglyphs, learning from Robin, and wanting to pass down the skill to her children. I think Reiju and her stopped their enemy thing against one another, but if they didn't, then Pudding and Reiju would have become close since Pudding marries Sanji. Zoro would retire of sorts to drink his days away, not as an alcoholic, but one of those masters of the sword that retire to some life of doing nothing but training a student that shows signs of being talented. The war would have done its damage to Zoro, similar to Sanji, but the swords that he uses would do its damage and turn against him. Somewhere in the battle, his arm would be cut from his body and Zoro would either have to come to the conclusion to adapt or die. After the war, he would live on the island, living in a small house on the outskirts of town, but go to a pirate pub somewhere near the shore. Usopp would sail away for a year to return to Syrup Village to tell stories about his journeys and stay there for another year. After a while, he would gather Kaya, I forgot how to pronounce her name, and ask her to come with him to the seas. She would agree as she wants to join him on his journeys back to the Pirate King's island. On their travels back, Usopp and Kaya would confess their romantic feelings for one another and wed. Returning to the island, Usopp would create stories and write books telling true and made-up tales about pirates and their adventures alongside other fanciful tales. Kaya would help Usopp with his bookstore and his stories, even writing some of her own tales. Kaya would also help Chopper out the clinic. Shirahoshi would also reside on the island. During the war, Shirabe would release a form of her ancient weapon powers and shrink down to Nami's height and obtain legs, gaining amazing amounts of power over the sea similar to the god Poseidon and controlling the Sea Kings. Shirabe would then, yes, I am calling her Shirabe. Shirabe would then decide to live on the island, hoping to find someone to take care of her and marry. She would find this person and they would wed, have 2 or 3 children, and continue their lives. Shirahoshi would remain the mermaid princess, but not take the throne as her brothers would take up the royal leadership. Carrot would have decided to stay on the island after the other minks returned to Zhao. She would stay as it's good of both worlds, since she would find a new and exciting life of living in a new home and seeing the sea all the time. Kara would fall in love with a human and the two would marry. A year after this, they would have 2 children themselves. This would be one of the few instances of minks marrying a different race and having children. Kara would become an at-home mother, housewife, while her husband would become a teacher in town at a schoolhouse. During the war, Reiju would be there to help the Straw Hats against the world government, and of course, her father, Judge, would be killed. Her brother, Ichiji, would find their helping pirates disgraceful and turn on the rest of the Vinsmoke. In the battle, Reiju would help the other 2 brothers defeat him. Reiju travels back to the Vinsmoke Kingdom only for a while until she leaves to join her brother on the island. Her travels to the island will help her see the world for the good. She would arrive at the island, and with the help of Sanji, she would become a cook in training, finding enjoyment from this while Sanji watches on with a smile. Pudding and Reiju would become friends, like I said a while ago. She would find someone as well and have a child, and would, by the ending of the series, be pregnant with another. That seems kind of weird when I say it out loud. And here we go, the moment personally wanted more than anything else here, because since I found the series a long time ago when it first started, it's been in my mind. And I even made a whole video about it, and I think we know what we're talking about. Luffy and Nami would meet one another in the final war, and during their break together, while the chaos is happening behind them, Nami would tell Luffy that she loves him and the two would kiss. Luffy would give his hat to Nami one last time and head off to fight the main boss. Afterwards, the two would meet up, hug, kiss, and head to the island with the rest of the new inhabitants, the Straw Hats and their friends. After a year, the two would marry and have 2 children, a boy named Ace and a girl named Belmere. Luffy would still travel for small portions, always heading back to the island. He would teach his son the way of being a pirate. His job would be the ruler of the island, while Nami would be the housewife, but the actual brains behind the king and the success of their new homeland, and a stay-at-home mother with a small garden or field of tangerines. Over time, Ace and Belmere would be taught by Carrot's husband in the school, and they would follow in their parents' footsteps. Luffy wouldn't actually get a dad haircut like the others of the 3 great mangas because Luffy has class. And that's it! I'm definitely missing some characters, but this is just supposed to be the first part, and usually during those parts I only put the characters that I like into the video. This is an idea that I've been thinking about and wanting to make this video for a while. This is solely for the characters that I like, and I think that they would be more peaceful ending to the series, but like I said, for some of the Straw Hats they would be injured by the war. But they would survive. That's really about it. This video is probably going to end up being crap, but yeah, I just wanted to make this video. I hope you guys liked, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more One Piece stuff.